This is how I got rejected by my specific person, my twin flame. In this video, I will describe how, when I had my wounding of self-rejection still unhealed, what happened, and then how I shifted this when I started healing my self-rejection. So stay until the end. My biggest fear in relationships was to have a one-sided relationship. It was actually to get rejected and abandoned by the person I felt I wanted and loved. So the universe has very peculiar ways to help us heal, even if we are really resisting this process. So what would happen with my specific person would be that once he would show me he wants me, and then the next moment he would show me he doesn't want me. And every time this would happen, I wouldn't want it happening, and guess what? It would happen again and again and again. And no, it wasn't clear. It wasn't a clear message that this person certainly doesn't want me. It was once that he does and once that he doesn't. So I remember this time that he opened up emotionally and became vulnerable, and then he told me, I have a family, I cannot be with you. And just for like a side note, he was never married and still isn't. The first time he told me I have a family, my whole body froze, numbed, and shut down. I was so resisting the actual feeling of being rejected that I would actually numb myself and totally disconnect from the experience and him. While I was actually freezing and shutting down, he would actually shut down and mirror back to me and actually abandon me. So from rejection, we went to abandonment. This was so painful, but I wasn't aware of how painful it was until I decided to actually feel how much pain there is in being rejected by another. The moment I decided to actually love myself, where before I wasn't willing to do so because I was expecting that no one, if they love me, should actually hurt me and wound me in my self-rejection wound. And this is what kept me in the loop, because I was expecting my twin flame never to trigger me again. I was expecting him to love me, to change, and love for me meant I don't hurt you and I only give you love. This is what it means for most of us when we're wounded, actually. And the more I believed in this, narrative, this story, that that's what love is, the more I was expecting for him to change, and the more he persisted in rejecting me. Until I said, I want to love me here, whether this person changes or not. This was the scariest thing to do, because in order to be able to love us somewhere, we need to be willing to lose that person for good. It's kind of going through the dark night of the soul, a kind of mini death, because in order to change, we actually need to face the fear of death. Facing the fear of death means I will have nobody to love me. And this is what subconsciously it brings us towards that fear that we have been shamed and shunned and thrown out of a team, out of a group, out of a tribe, and now we will be left to die. So we understand why it's so difficult for us to be willing to change and willing to grow and committed to it. Being willing to grow and commit to it means being willing to love ourselves no matter what. So once I committed to this process and I started to freaking love myself, where I was so resisting to love myself before, and I was resisting to do it because I wasn't aware that I was doing that. I was just resisting to allow another person to reject me. This means that I was resisting to self-love. This was done on a subconscious level. We're not aware we're doing this, and we're not aware of how much time we are losing in trying to control the outer world with, zero outcome. No matter how much we try, it will never work. So the moment I said, I allow this person to not want me, not only do I allow it, because in the moment that I allow that to happen, that worst case scenario, right? In that moment, I started doing to myself what I was expecting them to do for me. Which means I started self-soothing the rejection that I was feeling in my body. Allowing the rejection to be in my body first, and then being here for myself in rejection. And that is the process of self-soothing and taking accountability for the rejection that we usually project on the outer world that is mirrored back to us. And that's how we take our power back. Instead of giving it to somebody else, no matter who it is, it doesn't matter. they will not behave in the way we want. If we do that, we expect them to, but they don't, and they won't, and they shouldn't, because the process is about self-loving. It's not only about the relationship, not only about the relationship with the other, it's also with the self. So once I stopped making it about never feeling rejected, but rather wanted to feel rejected so that I can love myself more. So when my intention changed from not wanting to get hurt and only wanting to get loved by the outer world, by my specific person, my twin flame, when that dynamic changed and instead it became, I want to love myself where I'm hurting. I want to love myself where I'm in a, I'm in a void. I have a void and I'm expecting love from the outer world. I want to do that. The moment I decided this and started focusing on this by going to the worst case scenario, this is when this happened. So now I'm going to share with you how it shifted around and changed the dynamic in one moment. So as I said before, this was a repetitive pattern. He would consistently, with different ways, different words, reject me. Either by saying, I don't want you the way you want me, or I have a family, when he's really not married, he just has children, right? Or I cannot give you what you want. So the words were always different. The meaning was the same. I don't want you. I cannot give you what you want. And this was very painful. The moment I started titrating this worst case scenario, bringing it in slowly and slowly, like medicine, not like poison, because poison is when we shut down, we don't want it, it becomes medicine. The negative becomes medicine when we say yes to it. It actually, the rejection medicine, the one that triggers our rejection wound, is the medicine, is the healing process, is the guide to get us to self-acceptance and actually allow acceptance to come and pour itself into our lives from our outer world and our specific person, our twin flame. So I was now ready to also feel rejected by my specific person. And this is a very safe space to be for yourself and another person, because that means I'm open to more of who I am and more of who you are, to be authentically us, not needing to suppress or, walking on eggshells kind of thing. So the next time my twin flame told me, but I have a family, right? And I got triggered in my wound, but now I had also practiced the loving there, the being there in my wound. I answered back, and don't you think I will love your children as my own? So I was able to give back love when before I would give back pain, trauma. So he would trigger my trauma, and my reactivity would be to trigger his trauma by threatening to leave the connection. And it was re-traumatizing again and again and again, and would never stop. The moment I decided to become love in the trigger, guess what happened to him? In that moment, he made a realization that we should have had children together, and why aren't we married now, and why aren't we together, and what did we do wrong? What happened to us? I'm gonna be willing to share a lot more of my personal journey as we go along. I just want to know if this kind of content, this way, that I share it this way, is what resonates with you most. And if it does, do let me know. Write a comment, give a like, give a subscribe, so I can create more content on my journey of transformation, how I did one thing that didn't work, how I did the other that did work. Also, I have already created an amazing course, a game shop, where we're playing the game just to reverse the game. So if you're wanting to transform your toxic dynamics, because we don't know if the other person is finally a twin flame or not, or we might know if they are a specific person that will end up together. But the most important thing is to actually heal through this limbo and suffering of confusion that we have in our mind, but also suffering in our souls. And I've created this course that gave me the peace of mind that I'm right here, right now, and having the best relationship with myself. And all my relationships, including my twin flame, have actually transformed into more authentic and loving ones. So if you're interested in this course, please comment below that you're interested and make it specific so I understand it, so I can send you the link soon.